It was early in the morning when the man met an oyster collector while he was walking along the coast of Sheerness. He shared with him the news about the once-sunken boat that had been brought to the surface and placed in one of the courtyards of a small fishing village on the east coast of the Isle of Sheppey. The boat that had been lost in the depths of the sea for many years had been excavated and brought to the surface by a team of experts. The discovery of the drowned boat has sparked renewed interest in the history of the village and brought attention to the locals on the island. The man decided to make his way to the village to find the boat. Using the coastline as his guide, he started on his way to the east of the island. During the course of his 3-hour walk, he began to appreciate how extensive the island is, with a landscape that varies from long, narrow beaches in Sheerness to gigantic rocket cliffs in Warden Point, from heavily eroded groins in Lansdowne to the symmetry of the seashells lying in the sand at the beach of Sheerness. As he approached the village, he found the boat in one of the courtyards. It was a big wooden boat partly covered in moss and mold. Despite this and the years spent underwater, remarkably much of the boat's structure and features remained intact. He particularly enjoyed the base of the boat, with wooden texture revealing various patterns. But really it was the house next to the boat that caught his attention, as it was the only house with an open window in the village. Someone was living in that summer house, even though it was the middle of February. He moved closer and saw a small living room with piles of newspapers on the floor and only one book left out on the table. It was Art and Artist by Otto Rank, which he knew to discuss Western philosophical terms designating man as being a little world in which the universe is reflected. The man started walking back to the coast, going around every groin and carefully observing the landscape. Suddenly the horizon line blurred, and it was hard to differentiate where the land ended and the sky began. Walking along the coast, he became totally overwhelmed by the variety of textures and conditions within his field of view. Under the force of water, land was constantly renewing itself, creating new patterns. It occurred to him that in each of these patterns there is a whole island on its own. The longer he looked at the land, the more he found himself losing the sense of scale. The whole landscape was continuously extending. It felt as an enormous, large, infinite space. The sense of threshold between the land and sky was completely lost. It was hard to tell in which space he existed. Despite his constant attempts, he could not discern where one space ended and the other began. Patterns on the land reflecting different conditions of the island flowed one into another. Я часто думаю о пространствах, где теряешься в географических ориентирах. Реки переплетаются друг с другом. Множество ответвлений разбрасываются в разные стороны от общего потока. Словно вены земли, они придают ей движение через струи воды. Побег в экзотический мир, в топографическое место без людей. Эта пустыня поглощает пространство бесконечными песками. Кажущееся сперва однообразие пустыни исчезает после первого порыва ветра. Дюны плавно перерастают одна в другую, создавая новую линию горизонта. Разновидность рельефа создает недосягаемое пространство. Связанное с движением вверх, гора воплощает восхождение духа на высоты мистики. Кратер олицетворяет противоположность, нисхождение, обрыв постоянства, открывающий новую точку видения.